Happy just to be here.
You can't compare it to anything I've done in the past. It's just a whole different level, you know. It's like stepping up 2 grades, you know, to anything else, anything even in the pros that I've done. I've just got so much out of this race so far, and I'm still picking up things every single day. So I just think I'll come out of it that much better as a person, as a bike rider, a lot, you know. I think the whole enormity of it is just mind-blowing. You know how many people on the side of the road every day, all day. It's just the amount of people that follow this race around is unbelievable. Fast journalist. Super fast every day. It's just flat out. Yeah, I think that's been sort of the hardest thing, just the intensity of the race. I sort of got a bit crook after about the first week, and that got on top of me a bit through the Alps. So I suffered quite a bit through the Alps. Sort of got a bronchitis type thing, but sort of got some antibiotics and sort of on top of it again now, so hopefully it'll be right for the last bit of the race.
Australien Simon Gerrans, vainqueur du Tour du Finistère.
At the village before the start, and that sort of thing, it's always good to catch up with the boys, have a chat, all that sort of thing. You can always generally find us all in the one area in the village.
J'ai vu que tu ne participais pas beaucoup au sprint, alors que tu es rapide, toi.
Oh non.
Si tu es rapide, mais si tu es rapide.
Ouais,
tu es même très bon, extra.
You said, when are you going to win something? You said you've won everywhere else, how come you haven't won here? It's a little bit harder here. Now we've got through the Alps, we've got through the worst of the Pyrenees, so Paris is a little speck in the distance, so we're just working towards that.
The longest stage of the Tour de France will take the riders from Pau across southern France to the town of Revel, an area that's steeped in cycling tradition and history. Some minor category climbs over the 240 kilometres. Thor Hushovd and Stuart O'Grady are rivals on the road, but despite their differences in the past, they remain friends.
The green Viking. You will stay behind me the rest of the tour.
The big news of the day was the withdrawal of German Andreas Kloden. Last year's third-place getter in the Tour started with a cast on his arm as a result of a crash yesterday. The pain in the end too much for the T-Mobile man. Our commentators are Paul Sherwin and Phil Liggett.
17 minutes and 38 seconds. 14 teams have a representative, at least one in this break. Discovery Channel have 2. Française des Jeux have 2, Carlos de Cruz and Thomas Lundqvist. And Team AG2R have 2, Sam Dumoulin and Simon Gerrans. Simon Gerrans from Melbourne down into the Victoria, Australia. There he is. And he is in his first Tour de France, and this is his first escape. So he's got into a good move today, I think.
He's got into the move of the day, I should think, because with 17.5 minutes, the big question mark is who is going to chase down this breakaway. As I said, Bill, before the start this morning, this is the sort of day when we can see a massive breakaway succeed. And with the breakaway being made up of 17 riders, it really is going to be very difficult for anyone to chase down. At the end of the day, tactically, this is not important. Tomorrow could be more important, which is why riders like Lance Armstrong and, of course, Jan Ullrich might be taking a little bit of a rest in the peloton, because we've got a nasty hilltop finish tomorrow in Mende. Here is the green jersey wearer, Thor Hushovd. In fact, if this 17-man group survives, there is still 8 points for the 18th rider to cross the line, so it still makes it rather important for these guys who are trying to battle out to win the points classification. There's, I think, 14 points separate the leader Hushovd from O'Grady, and 22 points between Hushovd and Robbie McEwen. There's Baden Cook just going out alongside Bradley McGee. Cookie would obviously be thinking about trying to get himself a victory. He's shown the quality a couple of years ago that he had a couple of years ago early on in the season when he was sprinting very well in the Giro d'Italia.
Just on, Paul, just on 85 kilometres to go. We're heading towards the 4th category climb now, which will take us through 80 kilometres to go. Not a big climb, but might just shake them out a little bit.
Well, you can see the main field stretched out into a fairly long line. It's a long day this for the riders of Discovery Channel. They've only got one thing to do, and that's sit on the front end of the main field and tap out the tempo and hope that they can get to the finish without any flurries of activity. For the riders in the leading group of 17, they have to be fairly attentive and make sure that they keep themselves together. I don't think we'll see any aggression in that leading group of 17 until the very end. As we look here, Stewie O'Grady He's second overall, and that's Yannick Tombak just on the inside. O'Grady, I think, probably musing that he missed out on that breakaway, because it would have been a good opportunity for him this afternoon to get himself some points. He still believes, and I think he will believe, Phil, right until the very last day, that he can win this green jersey competition.
This lead, standing around 19.5 minutes right now, is the biggest lead anybody has had in the Tour de France this year. It usually comes in the last week, and it's not let us down this time either.
This is Dario Cioni there, 115. He's a rider who finished 4th overall in the Giro d'Italia, and he could be thinking about the possibility of a lone escapade down towards the end. And I wonder, with the presence of 2 riders from Discovery Channel, if either of these 2 riders would be thinking about trying to get themselves some personal glory. If the group goes together over the top, I wouldn't be surprised to see Paolo Salvadelli have a go on the descent, because he's regarded as being one of the best downhillers in the circuit. Now here's a move by Eric Decker. Now Decker's gone. Now this is a bit of a surprise to see Decker go so far from the finish, and nobody's yet to respond. Here's the move. This is Bram Tankink taking up the pacemaking, and then you can see coming across the gap there, Dario Cioni has responded as well. There once was a 2-man breakaway. That was actually on the road into Revel that he won it from a 2-man breakaway. Yep. He won a race into Villeneuve-sur-Lot, and then he won from a 25-man group in the sprint on the way into Lausanne.
And all that was back in the year 2000, and here he is having another go at riding his last Tour de France, I think, this year. Eric Decker, retirement looming on the horizon.
They're all back together now. That was the first flurry of attacks, although Bram Tankink thinks that they've still got a chance. So Eric Decker said, come on, let's go. We've still got 2 meters 50 in front of the group, but it's all back together. That was a good move by Decker, and I think now what we're going to see is a flurry of activity. And this is dangerous. You have to be attentive, because you get 4 or 5 attacks like this go, then all of a sudden somebody's got the gap.
That's Grifko now, who's having his dig, and just recovered from the chase. They're getting it organised. It looks like AG2R and Team Discovery are trying to hold this race together for the moment.
The response there coming from FDJ, and everybody else is slowly scrambling across that gap. But you know what? I have to think that Eric Decker was quite clever there, because he was the one who set the first move up. Now he knows this is going to put a lot of pressure on the group. If he wants to win the race down towards the end, he's going to see this aggression. All these riders scrambling, digging into their reserves to try and pull back that move by Grifko. And once it all starts to settle down a little bit towards the end, he might try and get himself off the front as well.
Well, we switched here to the back of the peloton. This is Inigo Landaluz, the rider who won the Dauphiné Libéré race. Clearly has had a bit of a prank here. We didn't see pictures of this fall, but he's gone down pretty heavily on his left side here, Inigo, and as a result is being left on his own now for a long, lonely ride into the finish.
Well, actually, if you look at the time difference between the leading breakaway and the peloton, he's got a very nasty chance of getting himself eliminated, because there are almost 20 minutes between the 2 groups.
Yes, that's right. And remember, elimination is calculated on the speed and time of the winner of the stage. This is Grifko being joined now, and it looks as though it might be Dumoulin who's coming across here. Well, the reaction by the breakaway has got the peloton also working a bit harder. 22 minutes 48 seconds. Crédit Agricole, but of course they managed to place their man up front in the front half of the split right now, which is Sébastien Hinault. No relation, by the way, to Bernard, the 5-time winner of the Tour de France.
So very important. There's the race within the race, and it's been a nice day. Let's not forget, for the man who leads the King of the Mountains classification, he hasn't had to worry at all about Oscar Pereira, who is in 2nd place in that competition. Our man Michael Rasmussen, Phil, will be ticking off another day himself and wondering whether or not he's going to have the most successful Tour de France. He wasn't expecting to finish on the podium, but right now he's got a very good chance and has taken a serious option on finishing in 3rd place.
Well, he's been in the top 2 now for 2 weeks in the Tour de France, but Ulrich still has other ideas, and he may have to wait for the time trial. Best man gets the final 3rd place in the Tour.
So again, to 1 minute now, the 8-man group has got over the 9 chasers, a long way back to the main field. So they've made the move at the right time, and they've got themselves in a situation where they can figure out how they're going to win the stage. So the odds are much better off from a man in this group, as we get confirmation there. 101 to the 9 chasers and 22.36 back to the main field.
And look at this, the barrier coming down here, and the riders, including our cameraman, just getting through. That's unusual, because the law is now, the regulation is, you have to stop if you're prevented from getting through. Did the whole peloton get through?
Well, what happened was it actually started to come down once the front end of the main field had started to go through, and the guys at the back almost got beheaded.
Well, I think they're all through, because normally if you get stopped, it's a force majeure these days. Especially if the peloton is chasing, they just have to lose time.
Well, he hasn't got to the spot yet, so there's going to be a big chase, a mad dash by the team managers to try and get themselves behind the race, because the majority of the riders are now without any mechanical support. Although there will be a neutral service vehicle in there, you can be absolutely certain that Lance Armstrong's teammates are all around him. And what they will do if Armstrong was to have a flat tyre, they would actually pass the wheel across him, because just in second place behind the red car there, that is the Team Discovery Channel car of Johan Bruyneel.